7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good evening, everybody out in Buccaneer land. This is Matt coming to you live from the kitchen studios here a little bit east of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, USA. It's Saturday night. It's 9 o'clock, a little bit after, and we're going to do our little show tonight. We're going to talk a little Buccaneers. We're going to talk a little bit of NFL. We're going to talk a little bit of USFL, which is going to start cranking up next Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe it is, to kick off their inaugural second berth and comeback season from Birmingham, Alabama. And to help us talk about all this good stuff, besides this crazy cat that will probably make a scene here pretty quick, I got my number 2, Miss Teresa Baxter, coming to you live from the land of Masters tournament there in or around Atlanta, Georgia. How you doing, Miss Baxter?
I'm doing good. You know, I know nothing about golf. Nothing.
It's got a flag down there at the outside of the cow pasture, and you got a hole on right next to that flag, and then you got this guy wanting to hit a ball with a stick.
See, that's what I don't get. You hit a ball, you chase it to hit it again. No.
And I found out today, after 57 years of watching the Masters, that it's actually over 5 miles per round that they have to walk. Whew. I had no idea. That just puts a whole new perspective on the thing when you think about it. And it's all up and down through the hills of Augusta, which one of these days I'm going to go there just to see it. I just got to do that. It's one of the holy lands, I think. Anyway, we're not here to talk about golf. That'll just put everybody to sleep. We're going to talk about crazy cats that won't get off the table and Buccaneers. So nothing happened this week. It was boring, really. Compared to the regular or the last couple of weeks, we really had a letdown. It was not much. We signed Giovani Bernard. We had him already committed on April 2nd, but we signed him officially this week. So he's inked to paper, and he's an official Buck for another year. We signed Blaine Gabbert because we don't have a quarterback apparently, so we need another one.
Well,
and why?
Well, I guess maybe they're going to start really showing Kyle what to do, you know.
Right. So why put him in a situation like he was in last year, where there's so many clowns on the field you can't get in the rodeo? It's just ridiculous. I don't know why they do it. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to have one of them kicked out at the end of the training camp. And we know it's not going to be Brady. It might be Bernard or Gabbert, because we don't need him, and he could actually start somewhere, I guess. I don't know. He's been here. Ryan Griffin's been here for a decade, and nobody's seen him dress out yet. I don't know what the hell the deal is with that. And we got Kyle Trask over there that hasn't taken a snap in practice yet as a Buccaneer. This is year 2 coming up. Why do we need to have him clogging up the system with a competition? I don't get that. But that's why I don't get the big bucks for being a GM and VP of president of football operations. I see Alex Schomer's out there.
Yes,
checking in from Virginia. How you doing there, Alex? Good to see you're here. Let's see. What else went on this week? Oh, well, we talked about and looked at 2 different quarterbacks, or not quarterbacks, running backs. Mm-hmm. One from the Gators. They just kind of said, we'll take a look at you. And the other one was, I'm waiting for the note to go across here so I can remind myself. But it was a top 30 pick that's gotten injured at the combines. And so his draft stock is supposed to be falling which will give him the opportunity to be available when we get to him around the 27th or 35th pick, whatever it is that we've got in the second round, probably. That was Dameon Pierce, and that's going on. Gronk said, I'm not committed yet, but he also said I'm about 50-50, and if I do come back, it will be with the Buccaneers. So
yeah,
he's just pulling our chain and keeping us in the loop, staying on the news roll every week, and he doesn't want to go to practice yet. I don't blame him. He's an old man.
well, he takes a beating out there. Let's face it.
He's a big guy too, man. I feel bad for the safety that has to catch him. That's just not right. But he's still in the wind, and so, to my knowledge, is Sue. He hasn't said no, but he hadn't said yes yet. And that's kind of normal for him. He doesn't do anything until last minute usually anyway. So there you go. There's the headlines. Whee!
He's already made he's already hinted that he wants to come back.
Yeah, everybody's going to come back. They just don't want to come back right now. He's still changing baby diapers or something, isn't he? Didn't he just have
he's got twins, yeah.
So he's probably busy, I think. And Misador says Gronk will be back as soon as camp starts. I agree. Not even concerned about it, really.
No.
Trask is never going to look at this. Misador, Trask is never going to take a meaningful snap. Well, then why is he here? Why did we burn a second rounder on him? I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And I was ready. I honestly was ready for him to come in and for us to have a rough year, just to get used to having him here and let him get used to the league. And Brady came back and messed all that up. So now my mind's all blown. It just isn't. I don't get that. I don't get it. We need to let him either be part of the team or move on. I don't like putting a guy on practice squad for essentially is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's not done anything in practice yet. He hadn't taken a snap with the first team once. So,
we got unfinished business.
And this is a year, every other year, so he's due. So we don't even have to play the season. Just go straight to February and we'll play one game and be done with it. We'll just be done with it. That would work out, huh? Oh, hey, there's Ben Cornett. He's moonlighting. He's from that other show, that NFL show that was talking about baseball for the last 3 damn days. Johnny Dean must not have had his messenger turned on because that's all they talked about. Baseball. They got their opening day the other day after the strike was over with.
Right.
And a couple of good games because it always happens like that at the beginning of the year. They have weird softball type scores where it's like 17-3 or teams come back when they're down by 7 points and win by 3, which is, I think, what happened. That was the big news. Forget who it was, but my interest in baseball is just not there until playoffs. And then it's just questionable depending on who's there. So we'll put that to rest. Don't have to talk about baseball the rest of the night. We're done. That's it. So
that's funny.
It's truth.
It
Baseball season is 163 games or something like that. Why? Because they need to keep the Greyhounds running. That's all they do. They run bus to bus to bus, whatever it is.
I can't even really get into baseball that much. It's just too many games, too much time.
It's not the America's team or America's sport that it used to be.
I've never been into it.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was a big deal because you had afternoon games, and this is what ruined it for me. They had afternoon games, so you come home from school, you're doing your homework, turn on WGN. Harry Carey's got the Cubs and somebody on all the time, or TBS had the Atlanta Falcons and somebody on all the time, or the Dodgers would be playing or something like that every afternoon. And then you'd go get a day off of school or skip school like I did in senior year several times, and we'd drive to Cincinnati and catch a doubleheader. So you pay $15 and you got to watch 2 games completely. You didn't have to leave the stadium ever. You'd be there from 12 in the afternoon until 9 o'clock at night, by the time the seventh inning of the second game was over with, you were so crap-faced that you couldn't hardly see your way down to get out of the stadium anyway. So you had to start to leave then just to be able to wobble all the way out to the car lot again, because it was just that kind of thing going on. And I'll never forget the guy that they sold something called Hootie Fall beer. It was a brand that they sold in Cincinnati. And the guy would come around, he'd talk about, let's get moody with Hootie. And yeah, it was just, that's one of those things. It smelled like peanuts and that Hootie Fall beer, whatever that was. And Kick Fu Joy Juice, which was a knockoff of Sprite that they had regionally up in that part of the world. Funny things you remember as a kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so baseball's here. That means that football's coming. That means the NBA is going into the second season, I guess, now, because everybody overlaps this time of year. And we got the Masters going. So, yeah, kind of an interesting week to me as far as what's happening. And through it all, we still got NFL coming. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get early start on the offseason because we got a new head coach. Yeehaw. 2 more coaches joined the lawsuit for the racial discrimination thing that come out of the guy in Miami. He had 2 other coaches get on with him this week. I saw that paper come out. And that's going to be an interesting thing to watch if you're into that kind of stuff. But
look, Slick used right vernacular for the down south. Let's go, y'all.
He did the y'all. They don't do y'all in England. Now, if he wanted to go really Yankee, he could go Yankee. He'd start talking about Ewans like they do in Ohio and Michigan.
Or use guys.
Yeah, use guys or Ewans, where they wash their clothes at the laundromat. And you saw somebody that talks like that. They say, I got to go wash laundry. Well, how do you spell that? The W-A-S-H. And so where's the R come from? It just must be they're blind. So the A and S kind of blends together and looks like an R to them. I don't know what the hell the deal is with that. It's a funny thing that I noticed as a kid. But yeah, we got Slick out there. Maybe he can come in late. You know what I haven't done? Let's drop in the link. Might as well do that while we're at it and see what we can do with that. Boom, there it is, y'all. Ewans, all y'all.
Y'all.
It says StreamYard.com. You don't have to show your face. It comes up with a little box that has your avatar on it. It'll hear your voice just like a phone, but it doesn't. You want to get on here with your camera, you can do that too. If you're not dressed, please don't do it. If you don't have clothes on, don't do it.
Yeah.
We're not going to. Yeah. You're never as good looking as you think you are. I'm just going to go there.
Oh, goodness. There's some good comments so far. He would struggle if he started, but he'd be better the next season. True.
That's kind of what I was thinking. And I was ready to let that happen.
I think I'm more comfortable, though, with him having a second year being guided by Tom Brady.
If that's happening.
Yeah, I believe it is. I believe it is.
Oh, this cat. He's
and
gone
of course, the
completely
stories are still out there. Everybody's picking up on this. Brady was going to go to Miami and become a minor owner, and Sean Payton was going to coach until all this happened. That's a lot.
Yeah, there are some people with some really creative minds going on right now. So I don't care. It didn't happen. He's not in Miami. He's in Tampa. Sean Payton's not in Miami. He's going to be a play-by-play guy from somebody, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. Mystery solved. Nobody changed anything. Boorball. That's where I'm at, Fred. It's only interesting when it's a game you have to win. And you don't have to win when you got 162 games. You just don't. It's Saturday night, and no, clothing is not optional. We require at least something. Don't show me. Don't want to.
And you're asking me to put on a tie.
At least a tie. Or one of those Chippendale bow ties.
Yeah.
That's it. There you go. Look who popped in here. That guy that says y'all from England.
He's from South London.
How you
So-
doing, y'all?
How y'all doing?
What can I say? You guys rub off on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. And Ben's still working the deal.
Yeah.
He's ready to come on with a tie. That
He
would be
is.
Ben. With
I
an
don't own any
omelet?
ties.
You don't own any ties?
No,
You
I
should
got
have one.
I got a bolo tie and I got a bow tie. That's about as far as it goes.
Well, bow tie is more
got a
difficult
boa?
than a regular tie.
I like to be a statement dresser.
Oh, I see. I see. Well, a bolo is something that I can't sport. Those my wardrobe doesn't condone itself to that. It just isn't. That. But
So
I was
what
told
year
it's-
is it over in London, Slick.
I'm not from London. I'm from the Midlands,
Oh, you're from the Midlands.
That's what he said.
near
Midlands.
Birmingham.
Near Birmingham? Okay.
Yeah, Birmingham.
It's
I'm sorry,
Birmingham in
Birmingham.
Alabama.
Yeah, you really pronounce every single letter in that. We say Birmingham, like it's just Birmingham. Now I'm from Worcester, where the sauce comes from.
Oh, okay.
Is that really where the sauce comes from? Why?
It is exactly. I live about a 20-minute walk away from the factory that makes it.
Is that right?
You can smell it in the air. It's weird too, because it's not something you expect to smell in the air. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those.
Yeah.
It's a weird pungent. It's a weird smell to like hit your lungs when you're walking down the street.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you'd think somebody's cannibalizing a neighbor or something on a Spitfire.
Good stuff though.
I use it in a lot of things, and I didn't know it, but there's an awful lot of recipes that I found out later as I start trying to find them. They use Worcestershire sauce for everything. I mean, it's a universal thing.
It has become that. It's the only thing that makes us relevant in our little city.
The other thing in Oklahoma, the
Fish and
big deal is the liquid smoke, which is an oxymoron. But they use it a lot in Oklahoma recipes too, which I had no idea. I thought smoke came from the slow cooker. That's where you got it from. I don't use liquid smoke. I guess I should.
Heard of it.
It's a interesting thing. If you use too much of it, it takes over everything. But if you use it just right, it fakes the barbecue, which is
That's what I heard, because some people are trying to go a little bit more, maybe not kind of electric barbecue, because you can get an even grill out of it, and people who want grill masters, so to speak, go for electric. They're like, how do you get that authentic barbecue taste? And one of the things that have been said was you use liquid smoke.
Yeah. And it's good for the wintertime here because it's too cold for LP cans. The liquid petroleum doesn't come out of the can. So you might have a full can of gas on your barbecue grill, but you don't have it's too cold for it to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So the flame isn't warm enough. It's just got this little low flame no matter what you do. So you got to wait till the summer comes or use liquid smoke if you're going to try that. And these are things I learned a little bit in Oklahoma. What I learned in Florida to cook with was a whole lot of other stuff that they don't even recognize in this state. They don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And everything in this country is broken into thirds. On the East Coast and the eastern part of the country, out on the east.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Did you say something wrong? Oh, my goodness. So how's your week been?
Not too bad. It's boring work stuff, but we're prepping for our first game of the season, so we're playing tomorrow.
Oh,
That's
fun.
Quite exciting because we got 18 players on defense, which is nice.
That is nice.
It is, because usually we play with 7. We have to borrow from the offense.
How does that work?
You just get guys who play old school Iron Man football. So you have like wide receivers play cornerback, you have running backs play safety and things like that.
Wow.
Linemen play both ways.
Now, are you going to follow the USFL?
I've kept an ear to the ground, but I don't know too much. I know it starts soon, but I don't know
It
too much
starts
about it.
next week, yeah.
Yeah. Does Tampa have a team? Because I know we had one in. I say we. I don't even live there. I talk like I live there. Because they had the Vipers in the XFL, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. We have the Bandits, Tampa Bay Bandits.
Yes. It's clicking on now. So that's a very old school team with a bit of history too, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they were fantastic. I was telling them that I was looking at some of the rules that they're going to have in there. This could be very interesting, guys, because they've got this thing here. Let me see, where is it? They've got where you can go for after you score, you can go for a 1, 2, or 3 point conversion.
So what's the 3?
The 3 is you from scrimmage from the 10-yard line, you try to run it in, and if it's
10-yard play
across the goal line, then you got 3 points.
Okay.
2 points again are the scrimmage from the 2-yard line. And
to be honest, I think things like that are better. I mean, kicking those now. I mean, they've tried to make it less automatic in the NFL. It's still kind of automatic. I mean, I know we have a kicker that kind of misses those. He kicks field goals fine. It's just extra points he struggles with.
Yeah, I get it. I don't get it. They're usually closer than the field goal. They've also got this onside kicks. There's 2 options for onside kicks.
Okay.
They're going to do the traditional one from 25-yard line. The second one will be a 4th and 12 play from their own 33-yard line. If the team makes a first down, fantastic. It retains possession. If the team attempts the onside and fails, the defense gets the ball wherever the offense is downed. So that's a lot of risk.
There's one rule I always like in rugby that I'd love to see implemented.
What's that?
In American football. The ball is live on any kick and play.
Yeah.
The ball is live on any kick and play. So if you were to regather the ball on your kick and play, you would retain possession. I like that. Also on kickoffs, this is the one thing that irritates the hell out of me in the NFL. It happens in rugby too, because they have the same rule in kickoff. If the ball bounces out of bounds, it's down. It should be down there. It should not be retake the kickoff. Should be. If your team failed to catch the ball, that's not my problem.
Right.
I want to make you use every blade of grass. That's the way I would see it, and I don't like that rule. I think ball live every special teams pretty much. So you've got a chance to get after it. And I think if the ball bounces before it goes out of bounds, that's on. It's down to the receiving team. It's got nothing to do with the kicking team. That's just my little 2 nuggets. What do I know?
Yeah, well, it's just there's a lot of interest. It must be too cold in Oklahoma. I tell you what, it's cold in Atlanta right now.
Really?
Yeah, we had frost warnings last night. Somebody said there was a wintry mix this morning.
Okay. Have your energy bills gone up like they have here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, 50% more.
Well, ours isn't that bad, but I tell you, last year when they had the big ice storms in Texas, those people were being reamed by their utility companies.
Well, usually they're using aircon, aren't they?
Yeah, they're. Hey, here comes Matt.
Wow.
He's back.
Hey, Matt.
This thing has a little tiny button on it right there. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. It just messes everything up. I don't know what I did. I was emphasizing a point and I tapped it. And everything went to hell. So there you go. That's the kind of night I'm going to have. My Lord. Oh.
And Pam says it's warm in Iowa.
It was 85 degrees today in Oklahoma.
What's that? I'm gonna be like the proper English person here and say, what's that in Celsius?
Add 30.
That's all I know.
How warm?
It's
warm.
hot.
Okay.
Your freezing temperature is 0. Ours is 32. So without doing the 5/8 multiplication 8/5 thing that I had to learn in school in 5th grade.
Sounds hot.
Yeah, it's summer weather, and it was 44 degrees the day before.
Yeah,
I can
today
figure
we're in
that
the 50s. Yeah, low 50s. Tomorrow we're supposed to be 74.
Yeah, it's just
I can't take it.
I play a online game with a guy that's from northwestern California, and that's almost Oregon. So
Mhm.
he was at 93 degrees day before yesterday.
Wow.
Beautiful.
That place,
That's
that part of the country, just for reference, doesn't put air conditioning in houses because they don't need
No.
it.
No, we don't have it either. It's like an optional extra.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
necessary in that part of the country. And when it's 95 degrees, that's like to them it's 3,000. They're frying like bacon up there when it's like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I bet.
When I lived in San Francisco, my in-laws did not have an air conditioner, but it got so cold at night you could just put a fan in the window and it was,
Yeah,
really cooled the house down. But during the day it could be brutal.
yeah, that's way too hot this early in the year. But my roses are coming up. I'm happy. My azaleas all froze up last year. They're dead. Can't have them. I got to go get new stuff. But my expensive rose bushes had a bad year last year. They're coming back with a vengeance now. I'm happy.
I don't plant anything. I got a black thumb.
Oh, I used to do in Florida. I did landscaping
Mm,
from when I was 17 until I was 28 years old. I guess I
Yeah.
was doing landscaping either for myself or as a job, and sometimes both. But I was really good with the stuff that grows in the South.
yeah,
Oklahoma doesn't have the same.
climate.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to learn now. It's been 15 years and I still can't figure out what I'm supposed to do with what. It just,
Hey guys, on the comments, are
yeah.
you interested in the USFL? And if so, what intrigues you about it? Will you be watching it since it's all going to be 1 or 2 days, on the weekends, and they're all going to be in Birmingham?
Yeah. This whole year is in Birmingham for both teams.
Yeah.
I like what you did there, Teresa. Birmingham. I like what you did.
Just
I
for
like
you.
it.
Just for you.
I
It's
love
going
it.
to start next Saturday night, just in case somebody's
Yep.
living under a rock and doesn't know it. But
The Generals and the Stallions.
yeah, New Jersey Generals and the Birmingham Stallions, which I believe was the last matchup they had for their Super Bowl, whatever they called it.
And get this, guys. Tickets are $10. Kids get in free.
That's just crazy. That's minor league baseball stuff going on there.
But you say that. I've seen some of the college prices. One of my friends went to Vanderbilt. Sorry, he went to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, for his honeymoon. And as a wedding present, I was like, "What do I get him? I could give him money. I could give him this." And I was like, "I know what he likes. He loves football. He's in Tennessee, so I got him not Tennessee Bowls. I got him Vanderbilt tickets, and I got really good tickets for less than $20." Like really good tickets. He still talks about it to this day, and I was like, "Damn, that cost me less than $50 for both of them."
Yeah, that's
You probably thought I spent a lot more.
I don't know how you managed to do that. What year was that?
I think they were playing what we would call in England a Mickey Mouse team.
Yeah, the first 4 games of the year are usually up against their gate crashers. It's basically another team is getting a check to come get beat on by you.
Yeah, I think it was it might have been like another team in the air, like more of a local team that they got beat up on, which is unusual for Vandy.
Well, I tell you, there was a team, Appalachian State University, I think is what it was called.
I've heard of it.
Michigan on the week 1 of a year, 10 years ago now, I guess. They beat Michigan, who was one of the top 10 teams in the country. They beat them like a dog. I mean, just wore them out. And it screwed up the whole bowl system at the end of the year because they lost to Appalachian State.
That's awesome.
All of a sudden, that school started coming in, and they were like beating down all these teams that they were getting big checks from to come, and they're supposed to lose.
It's a bit like UCF, though. That they had a bit of a boom where they were starting to scalp a few teams and win bowl games and stuff like that. That's kind of cool.
Barry says he's more interested in the turn of the XFL.
Where are they going? They're part of Dwayne Rock Johnson
team, yeah.
The whole damn league. They're not going anywhere. I don't understand that thinking though, Barry. USFL is a higher caliber than XFL. Always was. And
XFL was show.
Our buddy Andrew Faubert from Canada is a proponent of the XFL and CFL, Canadian Football League, merging. So they would have some American teams involved then all of a sudden. And it would be like the D League of the NFL still. I don't care. Canadian football is in its own right is good, but compared to NFL, it's not even close. So
the thing I always used to, when I first started watching football, I watched a bit of Canadian football, and I'm watching it like they have less downs, and they still make it same yardage, and you think to yourself, "Oh, hang on! If you've got less downs and you're still making your third down's now a second down,
yeah,
you think you should be better. You have less opportunities. You should."
Well, they do a lot of things different. They have multiple.
Yeah, they have the running starts from the wide receivers, right?
Yeah, and they have the wider field.
Yeah,
their field is 60 yards. Ours is 55, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the end zones are 20 yards deep instead of 10. So when you're playing down on the 1, that's like being on the 15.
For sure.
Yeah.
So your defense doesn't have the ability to squish down like it does in the NFL.
Yeah.
And
I'm just saying from a practical point of view, you think
on the game. When I was a kid, they were trying to push the CFL. They did a Can-Am Bowl, which was Canadian Football League All-Stars versus the American NFL All-Stars. They did it in Tampa. And I don't know if they ever did it after that. They did one game, and my mom got tickets to that. And I saw Roger Staubach, and I think Tony Dorsett was on the field. And, I mean, some big names because they're the Pro Bowl team.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to modify Tampa Stadium, and the old Tampa Stadium didn't have a whole lot of room to modify. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of extra field on the sidelines and things like that. It made the play kind of hazardous when you went to the sidelines because they couldn't get the hell out of the way. And in the end zones, the concrete wall was right there. Bam!
Right there. Boom.
So, yeah, you kind of looked at that a whole different way. As I recall, the game was pretty much NFL just beat the pants off of the CFL. And I don't think anybody had any interest in it. I think there was more beach balls being bounced around the stadium watching the game being played.
Christopher Cole says, "Hey, what's up, guys and gals?" And he also says, "The more football, the better."
Why not?
Yeah,
this is true.
I like that. You know, I watched the AFL with the A. What was that thing they did that went bankrupt? The AAL
I think it was the AAC. No.
It was anyway. I watched the games, and they were competitive. They weren't great teams, but they were equally bad. So they looked like they could play each other. And at least there was something going on.
You can't judge them to the same standards as the NFL. And I think once you stop doing that, you just enjoy the game for it being just football.
Right.
Because if you were to watch my team play, you're gonna pick a whole lot of nothing out of what we do. Because we're not pros or anything. And I think sometimes it's good to have those B leagues and those A leagues or the upcoming leagues. Because one of the things that we've always known about the NFL is how much talent has been wasted because it just didn't develop quick enough. Imagine how many quarterbacks that could have been more become more special had they just had a coach that stuck with them. They had to develop their talent, or cornerbacks or any other player.
Right.
It's a really good chance for them to just have an opportunity and why should pro sports just stop at 32 teams? Why, you look at soccer in England, you can be like the number 150th team and you can still make a living playing football at a professional level.
Yeah, that won't happen in the States. But
I'm not saying it should happen. What I'm saying is there can be a drop off. You can't just.
There was a guy named Warren Moon. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yep.
He didn't make it in the NFL. They went to the CFL and he lit the place up, won a couple of Grey Cups, And they said, "Oh, well, where have you been all alive? Come on down here and play in the NFL." Well, they passed on him to begin with, or he wouldn't have gone north. The same thing with Steve McNair.
Yeah.
Ironically, the same franchise. And he was, to me, one of the best quarterbacks in my lifetime. That guy was truly talented. He wasn't superstar, but he wasn't like Brett Favre, where you knew he was going to either throw an interception or he's going to win the game one way or the other. He's just going to go out there and do stuff. Steve McNair was a hell of a quarterback, and he was for a long time. And that was after he got started in the CFL. There's a lot of players that did that, but there's a lot more that came to the NFL, like Johnny Manziel, for instance, who completely took a shit in their career because it didn't take it serious. And then he goes to the CFL and proved that he was still not good because his brain wasn't right. He had the physical part, but he didn't have the mindset to be a professional sports athlete.
Right.
Number 13 as well.
We got Michael Colwell here, and I'm seeing names that I don't recognize.
Yeah,
so if you're new, welcome. We're really glad you're here. He says it's funny. People are saying we're third best team in the NFC, behind the Rams and the Packers. LOL. The Green Bay Packers don't have wide receivers. The Rams, remember, there's only been one team to win back-to-back Super Bowls, at least in the last 20 seasons, and there's no way in hell you can definitively put Matthew Stafford over the GOAT, and you're damn sure ain't putting Rodgers over the GOAT this season.
Yeah, I think he's got a valid point all the way around there.
I do too.
The thing about it is, even when Brady won the Super Bowl, he still wasn't an MVP candidate.
Right.
So I don't know what they got against Brady. But if you ask me, the most valuable player, if he's not here, we're not half the team we are.
Right.
So does that make him valuable or not? I mean, that's kind of what the title is to me. Yeah. If he wasn't there, would you be able to be as successful as you are right now, or would you be worse?
Right.
Aaron Rodgers is just this thing. I don't get it because he's going back to Green Bay, yay, but they don't have anything. He's not built around anything. How was he the MVP last year? Because he played with a broke toe? I mean, I don't really know.
It was his lack of interceptions. That was literally it, I would say.
So
he was technically he was more efficient with ball to hand, and he threw less interceptions. That was literally it. That was the argument. The argument was you got one guy who has a lot more scoring, a lot more yardage. The other guy was a little bit more careful with the football. So,
but Crazy's got to figure in that somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's, let's face it, he's batshit crazy, you know?
You talking about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
He's crazy.
Aaron Rodgers just wants to be a celebrity.
Yeah. He's got the TMZ guys on speed dial.
For sure.
I'm going to be here.
Yeah. It's just, that's the way he is.
Michael also said, hey, the main speaker talking about the main guy who is speaking on this video wanted to ask you if anybody has told you sound like Mark Sharp on the radio station guy in Columbus.
Well, definitely me.
Yeah, he's talking about me. I don't know anybody in Columbus, Ohio, honestly. So, no.
Well, it could be Columbus, Georgia.
Or it could be Columbus, Georgia, yeah. I guess there's a Columbus in almost every state when you think about it. I don't know, but I appreciate it. I guess that's a compliment. If I sound like a guy who makes a living on the radio, I must be doing okay.
Yeah,
I suppose. If I can stay on the screen, that's an issue.
And he says he's just ready for football, but a pathetic basketball season. Thank God my team season's over. Dreadful year, just ready for football. Got two teams that are in legit championship contention this season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Ohio State Buckeyes will win it all for the second time in history. They'll both win it in the same year.
Wouldn't that be something? That would put Chris Carter back on TV.
AAF is what Chris Cole said.
Yeah, it's Alliance.
That's it. American Alliance Football or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. That one had potential though. Those guys on that AFF with the kickoff, was it them that did the kickoff thing where the
No, I think they got rid of the
team
kickoff.
was
You
on the
just had the ball.
30-yard line on the other? What's that?
I think they just got rid of it. They just didn't bother with special teams.
Okay, that was them. Then the other one was the XFL, I guess it was, that had the kicking team was kicking off from the regular location, but the defensive squad that would normally be right across from the kicking line was down around the 30 on the other side of the field. So they had like an offensive line and a defensive line that were 40 yards apart, so they didn't have issues with this running all the way down the field, slamming into each other. And that made more sense to me than anything else I've seen in football. And I don't know why the NFL doesn't adopt that, because it makes the kickoff something worth watching. It's not this right now. They could do what the AAF did with the handing the ball. Okay, it's yours. You get it on the 25. We don't even need to kick it. We don't need to dress anybody out there to get out there and run. Just take it at the 25 every time.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't. We waste our time with a kickoff so we can go to commercial. I mean, that's the damnedest thing. We're going to go to commercial, come back, kick it off, and go to commercial. And then we'll come back and start at the 25 because it was an automatic touchback, which it always is 98% of the time. There's no reason for that play at all. I don't understand why they do it.
Money.
Yeah, I guess somebody's got to get paid.
Oh yeah.
Those guys on the secondary or the special team.
No, I was more saying for like the advertising.
Well, yeah, that fits into it too, but it gives probably 10 guys a job that don't get a job if they don't have a special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess that's good for that guy that our Mr. Irrelevant last year. He made a living off of special teams.
He was great.
Dude,
Yeah.
Tasmanian.
I love him. I'm so glad he's still with the team. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I hope he can go further and get into the real game a little bit more. But yeah, he's got a motor on him on that special team stuff. He's crazy.
Oh, for sure. He can
Always
play
around the
tackle
ball.
well.
Always around the ball. That's
Yep.
a good sign.
I love a
All
good
right.
ball hawk. Michael also says Brady loves to feed off the hate. It's like taking candy from a baby, which is what all these people in analysis are as babies. When you can't talk about TB12 because they all can't stand that he's the man. And I am blind and visually impaired, and I'm speaking upon this type of situation. Maybe the Angelus are blind too, LOL. I get people have to write, but at the same time, if you're going to write things that are true, not false.
Well, and I think the press had a lot to do with the forcing Tom Brady to retire last year.
Yeah, they did.
I think they slammed him out the door. They
did.
want him gone
They
so
were
bad.
announcing it way before he did.
And I don't think they give him any justice. That for what the guy's done in the league, and I got to be honest, I'm not a Tom Brady fan if he's in New England. I hated that guy. I respected his game, but I didn't like that team. I didn't want anything to do with them. It made me ill every time they were in the damn Super Bowl because I got sick of it. It was like when the 49ers back in the 80s, they were always in the Super Bowl, always. And I was so tired of the 49ers or the Detroit or the Dallas Cowboys. It was always the same damn thing.
Joe Montana and Steve Young. And
yeah, it was. Just
When we went to the Super Bowl and we played against Kansas City, and I was checking with my friends and across my team, my friends who out and out, and asking who they want to win, and it was pretty split. Any ex-Patriots fan was like, "Oh, I'm Brady, not Tampa, Brady." But it'd be nice to see him do well. And then there's a couple of my friends who'd say they want to see Mahomes win another one. I was like, okay. So who's your normal team? And they'd be like, Bills, I like this team, I like that team, and they were all AFC teams. I said, you do realize you're hoping a dynasty is born. Like, what do you mean? I said, you're asking a dude to go back to back. You're asking for a dynasty. That's what you are basically saying. You're a Texans fan or a Colts fan or a Jags fan or whatever. You are begging for a dynasty. Do you really want to spend another 20 years watching Patrick Mahomes go to a Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl?
No.
No, of course you don't.
And their window is done. They are closing it up right now.
Wow,
They've lost a whole bunch this year.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to see how he can react in adversity because this is proper adversity for him.
Well,
he'll tell us two things: how good he is without Hill, and how good Hill is
without him.
Hill. Yeah.
I think Hill.
Wide receivers usually do pretty well. Doesn't matter where they go because if they've got a knack for getting the ball, they've got a knack for getting the ball. I mean, if they've been with someone elite from day one, it is a little bit different. Because a lot of people, the thing that always irritates me about people sleeping on Mike is the fact that they forget that he had Josh McCown, Mike Glennon, Jameis Winston, Ryan Fitzpatrick before he had Brady.
Yeah.
So he had no one of note, realistically, throwing in the ball, and he was dominant for the 8 years. I think he's 8 years into the league right now.
Yeah, I think he's on his eighth.
Yeah, he set the record for having 1,000 yards his first 8 years.
For 8 years, because he's been playing as long as I've been married. Because I went to watch his rookie. I was there watching his rookie season in Tampa, so that's what I remember. I'm married 8 years, so he's been in the league 8 years. There you go. It's a great fix there. I can now remember I've now got a way of remembering if I'm ever forgetting my anniversary, I can just look up when Mike Evans joined the league. Guaranteed slam dunk there. But a lot of people sleep on him, and I'm like, you don't realize that he's had nobody throwing him the football until the last 2 years of his career. So for 6 years, he had nobody throwing him the football because no one. Let's face it, you were all making jokes of Jameis Winston. You were all making jokes of Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though people secretly love Ryan Fitzpatrick because of his demeanor and his personality. He's a fun guy.
He can't retire. The guy gets picked up everywhere he wants to go. He plays every year he wants to play, so he's got to have something going for him, right?
I was quite lucky. I went to an NFL UK event, and they had a bunch of they bring out a bunch of NFL players, and one of them was him, and it was when he was between contracts. So it was just as BA came. I think it was just as BA came in, and they asked him like, "What do you think you could have done better?" Someone asked him, "What could you have done better in your career?" And he went, "Throw checkdowns, but checkdowns are boring, and I like throwing the ball, and I just see the guy running high, and I think I'll throw him the ball so I can get the touchdown, and then someone picks it off."
Yeah, well,
I just so brutally honest. It was just so he was really cool dude.
He's got a certain style to him. When Jameis couldn't hit D-Jack, but
he could.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick had no trouble doing it. So that shows you what happens when you got glasses on and when you don't. That's just the way I look at that. There's no way in the world there's any way to explain it.
Yeah, as Michael said, he doesn't think the GOAT's worried about Stafford or Aaron.
I don't think Tommy
and he also wants to give me a shout out for reading all of his comments. That's part of why I'm here.
I like it. It's good. Yeah, I think it does fuel Tom Brady to a degree. I'm in our division. Are we like the third? No, I don't think we're the third. I think it's an argument between us and the Rams. There's always going to be that argument because obviously they've beaten us. So right now they are on top. We got to give them
because they won last year, but we were on
only
top.
Because they won last year.
Mm-hmm.
But that can change. It's a new year.
It's a new year. And people are moving. They don't have the same roster.
Exactly.
So, yeah, Kansas City hadn't gone back, have they? They won one, they lost one.
Yes.
Now they can't get there again. It's going down the wrong direction. They peaked, and then every year they've done progressively less. The only person who benefited from that was Patrick Mahomes, and owning the ownership of the Royals or whatever the team was that he got a little piece of baseball team for being there. That's him and Aaron Rodgers have both shown that if you take all the money, eventually you have no roster, and that's what's going to happen. And I don't think Mahomes is ever going to be anywhere close to this baby goat stuff that they're talking about with him.
No,
he was hard to defend. No. And he had speed in the peak there. He had the wide receivers that could run 4.8s, and he had running backs that could run 4.8s or 4.4s. And he had all of that. You can't contain all of those people. And that's why they did so well. But slowly but surely, they're all dropping off. And
I think the problem with Patrick Mahomes is he's almost got a little cocky. I do think he's an immense talent. There's no reason that I don't think if anyone watches him, he's talented. That's not even close to just up for discussion. It's the same with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is arrogant.
Lombardi would say to him,
we're yet to see what Patrick Mahomes
would have told
truly
him
like.
that nonsense with the sidearm passes and all that bullshit. Lombardi
it's Harlem Globetrotters football. That's what he's trying to do, and it doesn't work in the real world.
It doesn't work when you have regular players either. See, that's the thing. He had Kelsey would always be his reserve guy. He's always the tight end. It's always open because the other wide receivers were so fast they were sucking up all the coverage.
Yep.
Kelsey always got open. When that wasn't working, he had a running back that he could get it to that had good hands, that was quick. And you can't cover the guy in the backfield if you're busy covering the top of the field to keep the other guys from running 40 yards.
You just literally hit 3 layers of defense. You got a high, a mid, and a low.
Exactly. And there was speed at every position and magnetic hands with Kelsey. Kelsey's a hell of a tight end. I'm not going to sell him short at all. But they all benefited from the other positions on the field.
Of course.
And that's because you can't defend speed. And now he doesn't have speed. He's going to have regular, everyday kind of running backs and everyday kind of wide receivers that are going to have to run crisp routes and do their things correctly for them to be open. And he's not going to be able to do all this crazy, like you said, Harlem Globetrotters quarterbacking. It won't last. And if it gets to the point where he's having to run a lot, ask Michael Vick what happens. You get a leg broke. I mean, that's what happens. So their window is coming down. Ours is starting to, because the age factor is coming into play. But the Rams were just suddenly open and they're going to go suddenly shut. And I don't see them being a long-term thing. I just don't. They might be getting in the playoffs next year, but I don't think they're going anywhere close to being a Super Bowl team year after year after year. They don't have the roster for that. They had a roster they put together last year with paychecks. They signed free agents to fill 5-star free agents to fill voids.
And draft picks to do it as well.
And draft picks too, and that's going to come back and bite them in the ass.
Eventually, yeah. It won't today.
Took off. They gave away draft picks for him. He's left. He's gone. Aaron Donald was talking about retiring because he got a Super Bowl ring. I don't think he did, but there was serious consideration of him doing that. So then where would you be? Without those two guys on the defense, what do you got? You got just another defense. And Tampa would smoke them one-on-one. And, it's going to get to that point because Aaron Donald's a lot older than I thought he was. And players reach a point just like Ali Marpet where he said, what else do I got to do? I got a Super Bowl ring. I've been to the playoffs 3 times. I've been
All-Pro
times. I've done all that. You get to a point where there's just nothing else for you to attain. And like Giselle says, what else do you have to prove? Go home.
It's always been legacy for Tom, though, isn't it? It's been I want what I've achieved to be unattainable. I think with Ali Marpet, it was more like it's more about what he wanted to achieve, and what he wanted to achieve was like, hang on, I went to Hobart, did free school, everyone slept on me. Bucs gave me a chance. I developed into this starting right guard. I'm gonna go right guard or left guard. Left guard. Yeah, he was always starting left guard. He had a little shot at center. He was all right at center. He wasn't great, but he was all right.
He did his job for the weeks that he had to do it.
Exactly.
So,
and then he's Pro Bowl, All Pro, Super Bowl champion. He's probably at the point going, I don't care. Like if you ever seen the Marpets when I think I've watched I don't know if it was a documentary or just like a thing on the internet about them. They're an artistic family. They're not an athletic family. They're into music and art and stuff like that. And I think he was just like this. I've done what I've proved what I needed to prove, and I'm done. I don't need to prove no more.
And he's got money. He's got money and a degree, and he's going to get a master's. That's what he said he wanted to do. I got more respect for that guy than these guys that come out of college that are superstars. Like, I don't know, you could name a bunch of them off in the 80s.
You probably name most of the first round picks.
They play 3, 4, 5 years, and then they're done, and they're on the crime rolls the next year. They're talking about, they don't have any money. They're bankrupt. They're going around with all this entourage of 20,000 people that are with him all the time, paying all these guys to do nothing but to hang out with him. And when that money's gone, they're on the street. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, LT is a broke bastard just like me. He's got nothing to show for his career except the highlight reels because he didn't build himself up properly and he did a bunch of stupid stuff once he got out of the league. And that's telling to me. I mean, when you're somebody as high profile as that and you don't know how to maintain your life to where you have anything substantial to say for yourself after you get done playing football, other than a bust in Canton and a gold jacket that you probably had to pawn. I mean, it's pitiful. And there are thousands of them like that. I mean, Warren Sapp, he's one of the best defensive ends and blah, 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 blah. He's a bum. He can't even get a job now because he can't keep he doesn't have that ability to think like a normal person. He thinks like a thug, and he's 50 years old. So you can't do that after a while. And
you got the players like your Derek Brookses, you got your Rondé Barber.
You got Deion Sanders, you got people like Shannon Sharp, and whether you like him or not, he's at least maintained his wealth and he has a status and he's got a certain.
They figured out what they're good at.
But there are an awful lot of guys that were big names, and it's not CTE that did it. It's ego, like Andre Rison. Everybody talks about the check that he got from Atlanta. They wrote him enough money to buy the state of Georgia. And when he left, he had all this money and bling, and now he's just another schmuck they put on the NFL show talking about being bankrupt or what happened bad in the NFL at the time. We're all on drugs and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's just pitiful. It really is. And some of it's the NFL's fault for not putting those guys through the proper training that they do now.
Yeah, I do think I agree with that, Matt. I think you're spot on. I think you need to, especially with the rookies. I think it's got better now. I think there's a lot of leadership and it's not just from players that are current in the team. It'll be like ex-players that were with that team, or they have people come around from the NFL. Is it the NFL Players Union or the NFL Players Association, the NFL APL or something like that? I don't know, LPA or something like that they come around and they try that a little bit. I mean, I don't know how in-depth it is because obviously I'm not an NFL player. None of us are. We only know a little bit.
And the general managers also structured contracts in a way now where they're getting paid like an annuity, where they're getting $18 million, but they're not getting a check for $18 million. They're getting a check for $400,000, but they're going to get that for the next 20 years, whether they're with the Bucs or whoever. That's the right way to pay these people. I mean, I can't imagine the money. Mike Tyson comes to mind. He'd get $20 million for a fight, and he's flat broke. And I don't understand what happened to that. And it's a whole different league and a different world with the boxing and all that other stuff. But the concept's the same. You're beating the hell out of somebody who's only got so many years that he's going to be able to produce for you. You're wearing him out like a hooker on the street. And you're paying him bazillion dollars, but you're not telling him how to keep that money. And he doesn't have anywhere to go to once he gets out of the gym. He doesn't.
That's what I mean. You got to teach him what to do.
Doesn't have
how to save that money.
Help. Yeah, and it's like that in a lot of professional sports.
It's like that with people in general. Like there's a lot of people who just don't know how to look after money. Like when you don't earn a lot of money, you have to be even smarter. One of my friends always says to me, when you walk, you squeak. What do you mean? You're so tight, you squeak. I'm like, yeah, I probably do. But the way I look at it, I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got a family to look after. I can't afford to just go on a whim. And my friend, when he hits payday, he's like, I'm buying this, I'm buying this, I'm buying this, I'm buying this. And there's me going, I want it. I'm saving for it. 3 months later, I'm buying it.
And that means more to you than the guy who went out and microwave bought it. That's something my dad always taught me.
He's always complained he's got no money. So,
but if you didn't put anything into it but the key and the gas, you don't have any respect for it. Whereas if you go to a job and you have to put up with me driving your ass to work every day for a year and me doing this, that, and the other thing for you for a year while you save up the money and then you buy the truck that you can afford instead of the one you want, and you make the one you afford the one you want by putting more money into it, it has a wealth value to it. And that tells you a lot more. That's a lesson that's lost nowadays. Everybody's into instant gratification. They all got to have everything right now. And I think that's a lesson that every kid should learn. I didn't get a car out of high school. I got a diploma, and if I wanted to go to work, I needed to find a car. So that's the way it worked for me. But anyway, we're going on a different path. We got to go back to football. What was that here on the comments, Teresa?
Michael Caldwell says that. Well, he had another lengthy one up here. He hated Tom Brady when he played for the New England Patriots. Most of us did, but everyone knows he's the greatest quarterback regardless. And I especially hate that he played for those idiots up north in Ann Arbor. But it is what it is. As long as he continues to win for the Bucs, that's all that matters.
I could have a beer with that guy. I think we're on the same page.
I think you're on the same page. Michael Jonas Evans is on fire.
Yeah, he is. And when Slick put that on paper, it really makes you register what Josh McCown, Jameis Winston, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Mike Glennon. That is the crap that was producing offense for him. Amazing.
Michael says, does everybody realize that Mike Evans might be the only veteran wide receiver that is playing in the NFL with 1,000 yards throughout his first 8 seasons? People don't give Mike his respect, but it's all good. The Bucs don't need people to love us. Continue to hate us because we'll continue to win. That's true. I hate when everybody jumps on our bandwagon because inevitably we'll lose that game. Yeah. Hate us. I don't want you to talk good about me.
Well, the sad thing is that when Minnesota was not always a playoff team, but they had Chris Carter, and Chris Carter always got news. People talked about him every Sunday night on the replays. There was a Chris Carter replay or whatever. Mike Evans doesn't get noticed for Pro Bowls.
Nope.
It's pathetic. I mean, all these people out there that are picking the name of the week, the good, the cool guy or whatever. Mike Evans has slowly come up from Texas A&M, and he came to Tampa, and all he did was get 1,000 yards a season every year he's been in the league, and nobody knows who he is.
I think the thing with
you don't see him on a Subway ad.
Yeah,
he doesn't have any of that stuff.
You know who knows who he is?
Mike Evans,
cornerback in the league.
Yeah,
especially in this division, they know damn sure who he is, and it's just it shows what the everyday NFL fan knows. They only know what they see on ESPN in the 3-minute highlight reels. They're not real football people. They like to see somebody catch a long ball or get mossed or whatever the hell they want to call it. But Mike Evans is on any other team. If he was in Dallas, my God, they'd have named a street after him already.
Oh, yeah. They'd have parades going on.
It's just crazy.
I think the thing with Mike Evans is his skill set is very simplistic, and I don't mean this in a nasty way at all. But I'll hammer down on this. Mike Evans is the best in the league at what he does. But when you compare what they want from a wide receiver, the dream wide receiver, he does not fit that mold. But that doesn't matter because not all wide receivers are the same. But what Mike Evans does is the best in the league at.
And
that guy, he will overpower anybody. He is deceptive, and I mean deceptive speed. There's no way he should be catching long balls against someone like Jalen Ramsey. He shouldn't. He's too heavy, but he does it.
He puts the moves on him, and
he has such great hip movement.
To know how to get open.
He hasn't got the greatest hands. That's his biggest weakness, and he's not the biggest cutter on his route tree. But that's not the point. You put a ball up to Mike Evans, you put it up on the top shelf, Mike Evans will come down with it. And I'm telling you that. And I think throughout the season last year, Tom Brady doesn't like trusting, and this is just my own personal opinion, so please don't crucify me for it. This is just something I picked up myself. I feel that Tom Brady didn't trust Mike Evans as much as he should. The quarterbacks in the past have, because they had no choice. They had, I'm just gonna chuck it up to Mike Evans because they had no choice. Tom Brady is spoilt for choice, and he has now, and you could see it in that LA game. It clicked, and there's been a couple of games here and there, and he's like, I could just throw this to Mike, and he's going to catch it.
Yeah,
the way Tom Brady likes his quarterbacks to catch balls is they catch them where he wants them to be on that exact footing. He is very specific. He's very similar like Peyton Manning like that. And that's kind of not how Mike Evans plays. Mike Evans plays, I'm your over-the-shoulder catcher. I'll bust through the coverage, and I'm going to snag it between two ball players. Or I'm going to run deceptively enough to lull you to go deep, and then I'm going to pull it back and catch it. Yeah. That's just how he plays, and that's just my opinion. I think he's the best in the world at what he does. I think the problem is people like Tyreek Hill, Julio Jones, and all these other players that are up and coming, and these guys, they have a little bit more of a varied skill set, but none of them can match him pound for pound to what he does. Not one of them, and I mean that. Not one of them can do what Mike Evans does. But Mike Evans can't do what they do, and so it doesn't matter. He's just great at what he does, and numbers don't lie.
And this is the answer to the equation right there. Evans is not an attention seeker.
Nope.
He's not the OBJ. He doesn't give a damn. He's not gonna. His job is to go out, and he said this to people that do sideline reporting. Have asked him the question, well, what do you do when you go out there, blah blah blah? And he's like, my job is to go out and do the best I can to get open and catch the ball. That's what my job is. I do my job.
Yeah.
And that's it. He's done. He doesn't have anything else to say. And that's the way he goes to work every day. That's why he's the guy in the GM's office every offseason, reworking a deal so they can do more for the team.
Yep.
He doesn't have that.
He's the wide receiver, Tom Brady.
He's not the diva. And that's costing him a lot in the Pro Bowl selection kind of stuff. It's sad that he doesn't get the recognition nationwide. What do we got here?
Yeah. Mike Vick broke his leg. Was that against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I don't remember, but it was a bad day.
And the thing that made us so different, we were the first team that literally put a spy on Vick. And Vick,
we had the personnel to do it, Teresa.
Yeah.
We had a guy, We
did.
It's not common that you have that much speed. That's why the Tampa 2 worked so well. It's because it was a defense built around the personnel.
Yeah.
And the personnel fit every cog in the wheel, and their responsibilities was to that definition.
Right.
When you try to take that scheme and you take it to Chicago, and you don't have 8 of the guys that we had on our defense that were fit to that mold, you can't find a guy on the street that you can fit in it. And that's why Lovie Smith could never recreate the damn thing. That's why half the league could never recreate it. It always had problems everywhere else but Tampa, because Tampa 2 was built around Tampa's roster. And that was the genius of
Monty Kiffin.
Monty Kiffin. I just went blank there for a second. Oh, I'm getting old. But yeah, Monty Kiffin knew how to work with what he had, and very well. Did it very well.
Absolutely. Christopher Cole says the AFC is going to be a bloodbath this year.
Yeah, they're going to beat the hell out of each other. That's going to be great. It's going to be some good games.
By the time we get them in the Super Bowl, then
they're all going to be wounded to death. But you think about what's on the plate this year. Buffalo's going to be set. The Rams, okay, if they're the Super Bowl champions, they're going to have something to show for it.
Of course they will. They will.
Kansas City is not going to go away, even though they are sinking. And then you got that kid in San Diego or L.A., the Chargers.
Yeah.
Herbert. That guy's on the cusp. He's going to be somebody.
He's going to be somebody. Yeah, and, I agree.
I just don't know if his team can be somebody yet.
I don't care.
They're about 3 pieces away.
He's got the thing going. He's got that it. And I'm excited about that guy. Of all the stuff in the AFC, he's the one. Him and Josh Allen, they got my attention. Now, if you don't have Pittsburgh this year to mess around with, so that's going to be done. Baker Mayfield isn't up in Cleveland anymore, so that's done. But there's going to be an awful lot of stuff going on in the AFC this year that's going to be interesting to watch. and they're going to be good games. I mean, really good games going around. Except the NFC South. The NFC South is going to be our stuff. We're going to kick the shit out of everybody.
That's ours.
Gotta be.
Unfinished business, folks.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Michael says, I don't think now it's so much what Brady has to prove, it's so much what the Bucs have to prove, especially now that they have a different head coach with Todd Bowles. Let's see how this team will perform with Todd at the helm, and I believe he is set up for greatness to happen for this team. Let's see it all be put together. You're right there. I believe that. And I believe Todd Bowles is smart enough to let Brady and Leftwich to handle the offense, and he's going to handle the defense.
And I think you got to think about what happened when Todd Bowles took over the New York Jets. They went to the playoffs.
Right.
The Jets then quit buying team. They didn't have anything to work with, and all his talent went away, and it faded, and his career went down the crapper. He doesn't have that problem here. He's got a perfect roster. There's no situation where he comes in and he's got to revamp the defense because it's his defense, and he would have never hired that guy. He never would have signed this guy, and he wouldn't have done that. They don't have the right personality type for what he wants done. This is his defense. It's what I said last week. It's different, but still the same.
Right.
And only thing that's got to happen, it'd be like if Bruce Arians couldn't make a road trip because his ankles messed up and he couldn't get on the sideline. We would have not missed a beat. And that's what's going to happen this year. The biggest thing is going to get that offensive line clicking together.
Yep.
And really, that's about the only thing I see that's a big issue. And that's not a big issue with what they put back in place to replace Ali Marpet and Kappa.
Yeah, I think they've done pretty
We've
well.
already got that worked out. So the draft is going to be who they were going to draft anyway. The team's there. And the only thing is you got a different guy wearing the headset. But nobody sported that headset like Bruce Arians. They ought to package that over the shoulder. That was smart.
Darth Vader look.
Cam White said he doesn't get picked because he's on the Bucs. We never get respect. Even when we win Super Bowls, there has to be another reason, not because we were good enough.
And I agree with that. The Bucs get crapped on by the press all the time. I don't get it.
And Michael says most likely would like to meet up with a lot of the Bucs reporters in Tampa to have a beer. Would be nice to happen at a Super Bowl party. Party with a bunch of Bucs fans at Super Bowl would be sweet. I love my football, especially when my teams are winning. But for all the bandwagoners, you guys can go ahead and get lost. Go find another team because we don't take fakers. We're the real people who are real fans of the team. And you ain't with that, then you can walk the plank.
Well, all right then.
Well, I agree to that to a point, but anything that sells our product and gets it out there is good for us. I like to say that, they can come on the ship, but they're not getting the window seats.
Yeah, there you go. And there's an awful lot of Brady fans that are Buccaneer fans right now.
Oh, yeah.
I just hope that Tom Brady's here long enough that those fair weather followers of his, when he does retire, a portion of them stay as Buck fans because they see the team, not just Tom Brady being the guy behind center.
Well, there's two. I've got a favorite AFC team, and I've got my beloved Bucks. If they ever played anybody, Bucks rule. But I've always liked the Raiders.
Yeah. Well, we grew up with the Raiders being the thing. I mean, I got
a thing for Pirates, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and so did Al Davis. You remember he filed suit against the Buccaneers because he said we stole their logo. But
no, wasn't anywhere near it.
You had Bucko Bruce with the feather and the stupid grin on his face.
Yeah, that's not
Raiders with their death scene, their skull and crossbones. But he filed suit. Al Davis was a strange man. Let's see. That guy was double nickel. You're talking about this is talking about Derek Brooks, and you are correct. He was quick enough to where he could cover Vic. And Vic didn't have anywhere to go whenever he was playing in center. So, what's to say? When Bowles was the coach in New York, they had no jets to fly. That's true. They started out with a whole fleet, but by the time it was over with, they were down to nothing but gliders. and nobody could get him in the air.
Oh yeah, and Michael says the Raiders didn't fare well against us. Yeah, I agree with that. Number one, they were stupid enough not to change their playbook. Number two, like I said, I'm a Bucs girl. That's my number one.
Yeah.
So we had to beat the Raiders.
Well, if John Gruden couldn't beat the team he already knew that he wrote the playbook for, then he's not much.
I can't believe they didn't change it.
It's harder to do than it sounds.
And all the verbs, all the verbiage of that, like all the audibles and things like that, the check downs and stuff like that. You when you do stuff like that, I mean, that just shows how lazy your offensive coordinator, who became head coach, is it Bill Callahan? No, I can't remember.
I can't remember who it was, but it was just, I mean,
it was hokey.
Even our defense was on the sideline saying, we know exactly what they're going to do.
They knew all the checkoffs and everything, so there was no mystery to it. And if you give an NFL squad of any caliber all that homework done, you got no chance against them, and that's what happened. But the sad thing is that Gruden proved that he could do that because he had a big advantage, like an extra ace up his sleeve, and he proved he could never do it again because he never did do it again. When it was anybody else, he didn't have all that going for him, and he became just a regular guy.
Well, he started disassembling the defense.
Right. He had to bust everything up, and then he had to he just believed in himself a whole hell of a lot more than he had his talent. And it's sad.
I mean, he's great with the offense. He knew the players that he needed to bring in to be able to go to the Super Bowl, but he didn't.
Bring him to defense, he was clueless.
He doesn't.
Well, that's why they kept Monty Kiffin. Gruden didn't want the responsibility of that defense. At least they kept Monty Kiffin. When Tony left, Kiffin stayed around. That was the smart thing to do.
Yeah. The biggest thing with the Tampa 2 under Monty Kiffin is it needs a bookend free tech. And once Sapp left, it was over.
Yeah.
Because that defense doesn't work. You need to have a dominant free tech. That's part of it. And you need to have a dominant middle linebacker.
Yeah, well, we had one of those. That
two.
Derek Brooks was a pretty good linebacker. I'm not sure if anybody ever
Mark Allen said you were right about the Raiders coach name.
Oh, I'll take that. Bill Callahan. Okay.
Yeah, well, your brain's quicker than mine. I don't remember shit like that.
No, I remember I did a webinar with Hardy Nickerson, and he always told me in the Tampa 2, the middle linebackers drop is Infinity 2 Beyond. They called it a Toy Story drop, and that's why you'd always see him, or is it? I can't remember that guy who replaced him, the one who won the Super Bowl. Is it Quinton? He's like player manager now. Quarles, yeah, that's it.
Sheldon Quarles.
And that's why you'd always see them almost drop in like a free safety down the middle.
We had some strange stuff when that Tampa 2, when you had somebody, a cornerback or a secondary guy like Lynch or Rondé Barber coming in on a blitz. That just, before they started doing that, I don't know if any other team ever did it, but it was like they were not even afraid to let you know. He'd put him right there at the damn line by the linebackers and say, "We're coming. Here we go. Ready? Going to get some of this." And they'd get open and get by and just do a sprint splat. They'd blow the quarterback up. And
probably because they'd probably put someone else on the down on the line and then blitz somebody else, and then it was so like that's the art of blitzing. The art of blitzing is
you cover the
showing the blitz and then not blitzing, like giving the illusion of blitz, and that's the beauty of blitzing. Really, I'm a huge big blitzer myself, so the idea is you creep somebody to the line and they're like, I know what you're going to do. I know what you're going to do. And then you almost, by him creeping to someone else creeping to the line, someone else creeps to the line and you don't see it because the quarterback's eyes is, I've just seen this dude creep to the line. I know he's going to blitz me. And then it actually becomes somebody else. And then in the next play, it's nobody.
Right.
Even though they both showed the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it.
In the
Michael
Rams
said,
game,
"Want
we
to say-"
showed everybody was coming and nobody went, and that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Proved that.
Want to say thanks for all the content. It was all very great. Glad to have as much Buccaneer insight as I can, especially with this team winning like they are now. I bet we don't have the most losing the franchise team in history now.
I
The
think
gut
we're still
has
pretty close to that.
turned the way and has turned the way in Tampa Bay. Now we are a champion and not failure. Feels.
That's true. He did change he changed
Change
the
the mindset.
culture.
Yeah,
But we still have a long way to go to get off of that.
yeah, because that takes
We're
that
still
takes
in the
time
league.
to sort out. But
It
at
took
the
us
end of the day,
45 years to suck that bad.
exactly.
Michael. We
And I think that's
appreciate
one of the things. You look at it and you go, okay, we were this and we were that. With the losing his team in NFL or sports franchise history or whatever you want to call it. We've got 3 Super Bowls and there are a gazillion teams who probably have a better record than us that
Don't
couldn't win
recognize
shit.
that, though. They know us for being the sucks. That's what
Yeah.
everybody knows us as. And then you say, yeah, but we got 3 rings. And they're like, huh?
2 rings.
2. We got another one.
2, but hey,
Well,
it's a coming one day.
Even if you say that,
Listen,
well,
I
we got 2
believe
rings.
we
How
will-
many do you got, New Orleans? None.
Yeah, I know.
How many do you got, Atlanta?
One on
None.
a scandal. Michael says, I believe we will go 6 wins and no losses in the NFC South this season. What's your guess is? I believe on a scale from 1 to 10 on what we will be in the NFC South this year, taking 6 wins and no losses, with at least 4 more wins against other teams in the NFC and at least 4 against teams in the AFC. So you've
You
got
got us
8.
winning 14 games.
Yeah, he's got us winning 14.
I don't think that's going to happen, but hey, if it does,
Hey, go for it.
I think we're going to be 4-2 in the division because we're going to have 2 games that just they got us. I don't know. It's
It
hard
happens.
to go undefeated. It really is. You got to get beat sometime.
And
But-
not only that,
Fred.
your divisional teams know you better than anybody else.
Right.
There's Fred.
There's Fred with the 20-0. I'm going to go with that because Fred said so, and that's going to be good enough for me right now. But last year, like I said at the beginning, was 17-3. We were kind of like there. I'm looking at more like 12 to 13 games, I think.
I got us down as 12.
Yeah, I just don't.
I think I've got us as
expect more than
13.
that. Yeah,
Christopher Cole says 12 or 13.
and Fred's got it.
Fred
It's
says
It's a tough season this year as well. It's not easy.
Yeah, this is a rough schedule we got.
it is. You guys are, 20 O's and all this stuff. Keep in mind, we play some big teams this year.
Oh,
Mm.
Last year, we didn't play as many big teams, and we kind of struggled on some of them.
we had a hard time with the Rams twice. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Saints
Forget who-
twice. For
the
some
Saints
reason,
always have our number, but
ahead.
they're not going to have Sean Payton this year, so that's going to be an interesting thing to look at.
Yeah.
But I think 4-2 in the division is probably realistic. Somewhere along the way, Brady's going to come out flat, and we're just going to lose. And I guess that's just human nature. Eventually, you're going to do that.
Yeah.
We're getting close to closing
Also-
time here at the bar. I'm going to start blinking the lights here. Let's see if I can do that. Blink the light. Blink, blink. Last call for alcohol. You got to get them while you can. We'll try to read these last few comments, and then we're going to call it
Yeah,
a
we
day.
got Michael says out of any division this year, for a team to sweep their division, the Bucs would be more likely to do that than any
Yeah, I
other
think so.
team. People can talk about the New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton's gone, and Atlanta doesn't have Matt Ryan. And even if they did, we still own them.
Yeah.
Carolina is also garbage. The Bucs will sweep the division. Can't wait to watch. Glad we get to see the GOAT accomplish another year.
Well, I like
Wesley
his-
Sullivan says, I think we win the FC South regardless.
I think we do.
I agree with that.
I do.
Yep.
Pamela White said, hopefully not as many injuries. I
Well,
agree with
we're
you.
not exactly young chickens out there. We're going to have problems with that, I think. But maybe we'll get lucky.
Michael said,
Brady
sorry,
will not
Brady
lose
will
to
not
Sam
lose to
Darnold,
Sam
James
Darnold, Jameis Winston, or Marcus Mariota.
Winston.
And the Saints were bounty hunting. Yes, they were.
Yeah, they were. And I think they're going to outlaw that hit this year anyway. So
Yeah.
that nonsense will stop. That hitting at the knees. That's a guy put a guy in freaking off the field for life. That's just ridiculous.
I agree.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
not even I coach that. I coach eyes through thighs.
hit him in the numbers. You don't have numbers on your knee pads. You don't. I swear.
Talking DBs here. DBs ain't going to hit nobody in the numbers and take them down.
Wrap them up. That's what Lombardi used to do. Wrap them up.
Eyes through thighs, drive for 5.
There
and
you
just
go.
take them down.
All right. Well, here's the thing, kids. We had an awful lot of new people in here tonight. I appreciate that. I want you to come back.
Yep.
And all you new people tell 2 people, and we'll all get together and have a big old party here sooner or
Love
later.
the comments. Love the likes. Share. That's how we get our
do your
viewership.
subscribe, your likes, your sharing, your whatever else. Call a friend, tell a friend to tell 5 friends, and we'll all get rich. It's the Amway way of doing things.
Really? Rich?
Rich. Dare to be rich. Hey, if you know 1 million people and they're all your friends, you got to be pretty damn rich. That's the way I look at it. So that's all. That's all there is to it. And Pamela White, I know you're a homer, so you need to get out there and rattle the cages a little bit more. She's a friend of Miss Baxter.
You need to get your family listening in.
Yeah, there you go. But Slick, we appreciate you coming over from overseas.
Anytime, guys. Anytime.
From Birmingham. Or was it Birmingham?
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Birmingham. Birmingham.
I'm going to have to practice that. Hopefully we'll see you again
same with if you're going to do Worcester, it's Worcester.
Worcester.
There you go. Spot
Worcestershire. Shire, sire. Worcestershire for sire. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I better go because I got to get some sleep. We got a game tomorrow.
I was going to say, you probably do need to get to bed. It's like 3 o'clock in your world.
Good night.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck.
And to all you folks out there in Buck Wild Show land, have a good night.
Got one last comment.
Okay.
Like I said, this is going to be one hell of a year. Can't wait. And even if Tom does call it quits after this season, hopefully it's with a ring. I definitely believe if Tom does win the Super Bowl this year, this definitely will be his last year. May play another season. If he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he may not be with the Bucs. But if he wins the Super Bowl, he will be done. I think San Francisco talk is definitely over, and they can kiss the Miami job goodbye. Thank you, Michael.
I agree. All right, guys. Well, it's been a lot of fun tonight. I'm going to go ahead and call this a day. See you later, Slick.
See you guys.
See you
Bye,
later,
guys.
Teresa. Y'all catch the Masters tomorrow. It's going to be a good ending.